Good afternoon. On behalf of Chairwoman Vargas, we'll turn it back to Holly Porter for the remainder of the Public Safety Group budget presentations.
Thank you, Andrew. And to continue the Public Safety Group presentation on behalf of Public Defender Paul Rodriguez, we have with us Chief Deputy Public Defender Joe Super, who will provide the presentation for the Public Defender. Joe?
Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board, good afternoon and thank you for the opportunity to present before you today. The work of defending the constitutional rights and the dignities of the residents of San Diego County is always the primary mission of the Public Defender. Improving and advancing that mission has been at the forefront of all of our work this past year and will continue into the next coming years of the operational plan. This year, we continue to innovate programs through your appropriations and the funding of 2 public service grants to meet the challenges of unfunded state mandates. Through the steadfast determination of our 547 employees and allegiance to our motto that our clients come first, we continue to provide the best public defense representation in the state of California. The Department of the Public Defender consists of 4 separate divisions: the primary public defender, the alternate public defender, the multiple conflicts office, and the office of assigned counsel, all ethically walled to avoid conflicts of interest. The public defender's diverse staff provides legal representation to indigent persons charged with a crime and in some civil cases, such as mental health matters. The public defender represents approximately 80% of individuals facing criminal charges in San Diego County. We strive to meet the demands of advancements in technology such as body-worn camera video evidence, cell phone data recovery and analysis, and paper record maintenance. This representation includes pre-arraignment services as well as supporting individuals with probation violation representation. In addition, the public defender provides eligible community members with post-conviction relief to reduce barriers to employment, education, housing, and community resources. This work includes assistance in potential record expungement, early termination of probation, certificates of rehabilitation, sealing arrest records, and reducing felony convictions to misdemeanors. The department also strives to address new legislative mandates in order to protect our clients' right and to gain the best possible outcomes for our clients. Some highlights from our work this year includes the strengthening of our pretrial advocacy and community connections unit, also known as PAC. In April 2023, we received the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, our first competitive grant award, which was used to start our PAC unit. PAC has transformed our practice at the pre-arraignment stage by advocating for pretrial release from custody and into alternatives to detention programs such as mental health treatment, substance abuse referrals, and other options, which preserves our clients' employment and their status in the community while their case progresses through the criminal justice system. Early intervention by the PAC unit connects clients with attorneys to ensure they attend court dates and receive vital services they need. Preliminary data indicates PAC clients have reduced rates of missed court appearances. This year, the public defender gained additional funding of $2.5 million from the Judicial Council to expand the PAC program countywide. This year, we also bolstered alternatives to incarceration initiatives with county and community stakeholders. Our office collaborates with the District Attorney, San Diego City Attorney's Office, the Superior Court, and Department of Homeless Solutions and Equitable Communities, and over 90 local homeless service public and nonprofit agencies to provide twice-monthly homeless court pop-up events. These are special court sessions held regularly at local community sites designed for people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness to resolve misdemeanors and minor traffic offenses. Once the participant has engaged with one of the service agencies present and with the public defender, their low-level misdemeanor and infraction warrants are recalled, and barriers to receiving supportive services, employment, housing, and other vital areas of life are removed. We also conducted 2 stand-down events for our military veterans. These events link veterans to services that help remove barriers caused by medical, legal, mental health, and substance use concerns. Additionally, San Diego's CARE Act is up and running. Under Senate Bill 1338, the Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment Act created a new civil court process which was designed to help those with the most pressing mental health needs access behavioral health services and housing resources. provide a framework to ensure counties and other local governments focus their efforts to provide services to persons with complex behavioral health care needs, protect self-determination and civil liberties by providing legal counsel and promoting supported decision-making, and to provide a solution to ensure access to comprehensive services and supports. The CARE Act contemplated a collaborative relationship between the service providers, the court, and the public defender, whenever this is in the best legal interest of the individual. San Diego County is now the model in California for implementation of a team approach, working together with other agencies to engage the client and help steer them to clinically appropriate treatment in the hope that a care plan can be created. We have also assigned a dedicated attorney to start the California Racial Justice Act unit in the Primary Public Defender Division to review cases and handle petitions on cases where racial bias may have affected the trial and/or the sentencing. We have identified over 1,000 incarcerated clients who are eligible for review under the Racial Justice Act. We have staffed this unit with only one attorney, but anticipate the number of staff hours increasing for the proper representation of each client. And finally, we have continued the important work of our Immigrant Rights Legal Defense Program, which I will speak to in more detail shortly. The public defender is committed to aligning our goals, county's strategic plan initiatives. In support of sustainability, our department is actively addressing climate change by transitioning our training materials to electronic files and continuing to use the San Diego County Reutilization Program. The public defender also supports equity through our Fresh Start program. This comprehensive criminal record relief program assists approximately 2,000 eligible community members each year with post-conviction relief to reduce barriers to employment, education, housing, and community resources. To further support this work, the public defender has been awarded a Board of State and Community Corrections grant over the last 2 years. This funding has helped expand the program by supporting 21 full-time employees to provide additional post-conviction relief services that comply with felony resentencing reviews required under new legislative mandates. The grant period ends at the close of the fiscal 2024-2025 year, and we hope we can absorb those 21 staff positions to continue this legally mandated work. To support and empower our workforce and ensure a workplace of belonging and inclusion, we contracted with a consultant to complete an office-wide diversity climate assessment, and we are awaiting the results. The goal is to better understand and adhere to the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and engagement so we can continue to support, train, and empower our staff through all stages of their professional lives, from recruitment to retirement. In support of community engagement, the public defender continues to host the 25 Most Remarkable Teen Awards each year. This is an incredible opportunity to meet, acknowledge, and highlight San Diego County's best and brightest teens. We also actively recruit and receive over 60,000 hours of volunteer services from dedicated members of our community who support the mission and goals of our department. Some highlights as to how our department is supporting the Justice Initiative includes the creation of a new specialty unit to assist with our most vulnerable clients facing criminal charges. The Competency Unit will provide more robust representation to assist with mentally ill clients who are incarcerated and are awaiting transportation to the state hospital. This unit can assist with medication issues, future housing and services, and to ensure that the rights of clients who have difficulty understanding the realities of the criminal justice system are upheld with dignity and skill. We have also created a new holistic services unit, which brings together clinicians, substance abuse assessors, and housing navigators who assess and assist clients. The unit helps our attorneys present a full picture of a client's underlying issues and advocate for case resolutions that include alternatives to incarceration, such as participation in community-based treatment and housing assistance. A holistic defense can help address the roots of justice involvement and reduce the likelihood of future arrests. The public defender supports budget equity through our commitment to delivering the best possible representation to all our clients. We strive to develop and implement innovative programs and holistic services intended to curb recidivism rates and to secure important rights, liberties, and the dignity of all persons in the community. The Immigrant Rights Legal Defense Program has marked 2 years of case assignments with the nonprofit program contractors and a panel of private immigration law practitioners. The program has increased the levels of immigration court representation from 27% to 42% for over 1,400 clients awaiting their removal hearings in the Otay Mesa Detention Facility. The budget includes a $5 million allocation for the IRLDP for the incoming fiscal year to fund our continuing representation and new assignments in the fiscal year 24-25. In addition, there is an increase of $1.8 million for overall support to indigent defense due to increased costs of professional experts and due to legislative changes such as the California Racial Justice Act and SB 1421 Peace Officers Release of Records. The adopted budget for the 23-24 fiscal year was $129.6 million. The projected recommended figure for 24-25 fiscal year is $137.2 million, a projected increase of $7.6 million, a 5.8% increase. No additional full-time employees are proposed. The CARE Act funding for year 2 is unknown. This proposed budget includes carryover funding from the year 1 allocation. If we receive an allocation for year 2, we will return to the board to establish appropriations. As part of our budget mitigation strategy, we focused on core and mandated services to ensure there was no impact in service. For the upcoming budget, we have suspended additional staffing requests and used anticipated savings from vacancies to mitigate and ensure we have a balanced budget. As we look forward, it is of the utmost importance that our attorneys continue to provide their clients with reasonably effective assistance of counsel pursuant to the prevailing professional norms as guaranteed by the 6th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Last year, the RAND Corporation published the National Public Defender Workload Study to establish standards that more accurately reflect modern criminal defense practice and professional and ethical responsibilities. This was an empirical study based on the consensus of an expert panel, which identified the average time needed to represent an individual in an adult criminal case. In the coming year, we will review our current attorney caseloads and practices, compare them to the results of this study, and may make future recommendations to the CAO regarding appropriate attorney staffing needs to ensure adequate legal representation for our clients. Chairwoman Vargas, members of the board, this concludes my presentation. We will now hear from Chief Probation Officer Tamika Nelson.
Thank you, Joe. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. On behalf of the Probation Department, I'm pleased to provide an update on our recommended operational plan. The Probation Department supports community safety by working with county departments, criminal justice agencies, and community partners to supervise and rehabilitate youth and adults. With a continued focus on supporting young people, their families, and all persons under supervision, the department has 2 service areas: the Youth Development and Community Support Services and the Adult Reintegration and Community Supervision Services. The department also assists crime victims by educating them on their rights and holding clients accountable. We carry out our mission through highly skilled professionals who promote safer communities through engagement and connecting individuals to the highest quality of services while balancing opportunity with accountability. Our vision is to enhance the safety of our communities through restoration and rehabilitation. We provide services such as linking over 180 high-risk youth and over 1,600 high-risk adults to appropriate intervention services to improve the likelihood of completing probation without being convicted of new crimes. We provide access to mental health care and substance abuse treatment, which resulted in 350 clients referred to mental health clinicians and 900 clients referred to alcohol and drug prevention specialists. We also supported the county's Alternatives to Incarceration initiative by providing services to over 450 clients through programs such as the Community Transition Center, Work Furlough, and the Residential Reentry Center, which allows clients to live and work in the community without having to be in a traditional jail setting. Some of our accomplishments this year include equipping 2 new mobile probation service centers in support of the county's alternatives to incarceration work, to support clients with limited transportation options, including individuals experiencing homelessness and/or clients living in rural parts of the county. Through the mobile probation service centers, probation clients will find help with basic needs, referrals to treatment and supportive programs, access to laptops to work on job applications and resumes, and video conferencing portals to interact with care coordinators, supportive programs, or the court. Providing services to clients closer to where they live will help individuals complete their probation requirements and access needed services to help them desist from crime. The mobile units are being built and will be ready in early 2025. We updated the interior design and furnishings of the Youth Development Academy units at the East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility so that the physical space supports positive youth development, provides functional space to meet programming goals, and encourages pro-social interactions between staff and youth. 4 units are complete, and the remaining 2 are projected to be completed by the end of the year. We also implemented a program to provide youth with off-site and extended visits with their family to further strengthen their support systems. Our department has also deployed a new canine narcotic detection team, primarily assigned to youth facilities, to conduct random and targeted drug searches that will provide greater safety and security and potentially save lives. The team will also attend special events and provide demonstrations of the canine's capabilities throughout the community. Lastly, we opened a multi-sensory de-escalation room at the Youth Transition Campus to support youth experiencing mental health issues by providing them with a safe environment where they can express themselves, learn to regulate their emotions, improve their reasoning, and engage in solution-focused discussions. Probation is committed to aligning with all the county strategic plan initiatives. In consideration of sustainability, we will reduce our carbon footprint by continuing to implement recycled materials and sustainable landscapes throughout the facilities and hazard mitigation, as well as by converting fleet vehicles to hybrid or electric replacements. To date, our department has converted 41 vehicles to hybrid or electric. We will also continue to assist and support our clients and families in moving towards self-sufficiency and stability by providing clients with access to social services, including Medi-Cal, CalFresh, and CalWorks. To promote greater equity, we will continue to provide interim housing and services that enhance the community through increasing the well-being of our residents and our environments. To empower our workforce, we will continue to promote staff engagement through open discussion and ensure a workplace of diversity and inclusion. As part of these efforts, the department gathered employee feedback in the redevelopment of its vision and mission statements using an employee survey, hosting staff and customer service recognition events, listening sessions such as conversations with the chief, and by publishing department-wide newsletters focusing on diversity and inclusion topics already introduced in new and innovative employee training. To inspire community engagement, we will continue to provide information, services, and forums to address the needs of the community and opportunities for individuals. We have provided interim housing to over 1,800 adult clients on community supervision and provided residential treatment access to 850 adult clients. We have expanded our involvement in community engagement activities such as cultural events, youth recreational activities, recruitment events, and food distribution to underserved communities. In the area of justice, we are contributing to a more equitable system by participating in the pretrial services program, which includes monitoring and community-based services to support judicial officers in making pretrial release decisions that impose the least restrictive conditions to address public safety, and that supports defendants in returning to court for their proceedings. In addition, we provide inclusive opportunities for justice-involved individuals to contribute to the region. The reentry services assist adult clients as they are transitioning back into the community upon release from custody to ensure the continuity of care while improving client outcomes. In building our budget, our department evaluated key investments through equity lens by investing in supportive programs and services designed to advance equity in the community. This includes an over $1.2 million proposed investment in services to support youth, including a foster youth mentor program, youth residential alcohol and other drug treatment and recovery services, as well as an investment in the continuum of community-based and family-supported services for our youth. We are actively monitoring workload and allocating positions to meet current needs and board initiatives. Among the most significant budget adjustments are the additions of 47 staff in support of 2 programs. We are adding 43 staff for the Youth Development Academy program as part of our implementation of Senate Bill 823, Juvenile Justice Realignment, which transferred the responsibility for supervision of certain youthful offenders from the state to county probation departments. We are adding 4 staff, which are funded by program revenue, to assist in the regional offices and/or jails with linkages to mental health and substance use disorder services for in-custody clients. We are also adding funding to support cost increases in our healthcare services contract, and we are planning to expand services to our youth in areas of transitional housing, residential treatment, foster youth mentoring, and foster family recruitment. We have major maintenance projects that will take place at our East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility to continue providing a safe environment for our youth. Our recommended budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $321.4 million, a $42.5 million increase over this year. This includes additional funding for new positions, the Youth Development Academy, and major maintenance projects. We have an additional minimal funding source that is separated from the general fund for compliance purposes. The asset forfeiture fund is utilized primarily for equipment needs. As part of our budget mitigation strategy, we focused on core mandated services to ensure there was no reduction in essential services. This was done by maximizing our restricted department resources and utilizing one-time funding. We also had to consider what our anticipated savings will be from vacancies to mitigate and ensure we had a balanced budget. Probation is committed to protecting public safety by coaching clients to restore their lives, families, and the communities in which they live. Chairwoman Vargas, members of the board, this concludes my presentation. I will now turn the presentation back over to DCO Holly Porter. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Nelson. Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board, we appreciate the opportunity to provide an overview today of the Public Safety Group and its 9 departments' recommended operational plans. I want to thank the more than 8,000 employees who work in public safety for their amazing work that they do on behalf of the people who live and work in our county. In the coming year, we'll focus on our mission of supporting public safety and well-being of all by providing services that align with your board's strategic initiatives of equity, sustainability, community, justice, and empower. Thank you for your support of this mission, and we are available now to answer any additional questions you may have.
Thank you, Holly. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you to everyone in the public safety group. I'm going to just ask 2 questions, one of each department. So for Chief Nelson, thank you for the tours of YDA and the Youth Transition Campus and the transformative work that you are doing. I just had a question about your the goals around recidivism, and it looks like you're meeting all of those, but for post-release community supervision, the goal is 60%, and you met that goal, but just wondering why that's a bit lower than some of the other categories, and if there's been any conversation about increasing the goal.
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. That is a good question. As always, we do try to seek for the best, especially for our community here in San Diego County. There continues, and we always look at how can we always improve our outcomes and goals. You know, we are very fortunate, and I'm grateful to the staff who do the work every day, who have been able to meet these goals. Part of the challenges have been our vacancies. So as we continue to see our vacancies fulfilled, we'll see improvement towards those outcomes, and we look forward to increasing, setting a higher bar for ourselves in addressing those recidivism rates for our PRCS population.
Thank you for that. I mean, you're meeting, just to be clear, department is meeting all of those goals and exceeding them. Just wanted to know why that one was a little bit lower. So thank you for that. And I just want to thank the public defenders for everything that you do in our community. Just one question about post-conviction relief. There's been quite a few benefits in post-conviction relief due to changes in the law in the last year or so. I just want to know, generally speaking, how are clients identified to be considered for post-conviction relief?
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, for that question. For clients who are not in custody, we have a website where they can go and apply for expungement relief or post-conviction relief in that manner. For our clients who are currently incarcerated, we actively seek out those clients and let them know that there is a change in the law that could assist them, and we use our database as well as the database of the Department of Corrections.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes my questions and comments.
On behalf of Chairwoman Vargas, any questions from supervisors? Additional questions? Okay, with that, we'll now hand it over to Ebony Shelton to present the Finance and General Government Group budget presentation. We'll give staff a moment to transition.
Thank you so much. I'd like to take our attention to focus on the Finance and General Government Group this afternoon, or what we refer to sometimes as FG3. FG3 is responsible for the operational infrastructure for providing county services and programs to build stronger and healthier communities in our region. This backbone support ranges from legal advisory to information technology and cybersecurity, facilities and fleet management, program evaluation, human resources, community engagement coordination, and setting the county's strategic fiscal policy framework. We also administer the region's property tax system, which is apportioned to local government agencies to fund schools, roads, public safety, and other critical services. We manage a $17 billion investment pool, implement the capital program, and build community infrastructure. We conduct federal, state, and local elections, and investigate misconduct of sworn officers. Most recently, the Finance and General Government Group has expanded to better prioritize the well-being of San Diego residents. FG3 departments actively support workers' rights and fair labor standards. promote economic prosperity by coordinating the region's comprehensive economic development strategy, and enhance justice resiliency by championing equity and racial justice. To accomplish these important functions, the group has 16 departments with key offices embedded within the Chief Administrative Office and the Finance and General Government Group Executive Office. Together, these departments will have a total budget of $927 million and 1,977 staff going into fiscal year 24-25. Without the dedication and resilience of the leadership of this group, none of this would be possible. And I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our elected officials, Jordan Marks, the Assessor Recorder County Clerk, and Dan McAllister, the Treasurer Tax Collectors, for being here to support our budget process. And I'd also like to thank all of the FG3 department heads who are actually here with us today for all of their hard work that they put in to get us to where we are here in presenting this budget for the group. This year, the group continued to provide high-quality legal, personnel, and technology services for all county departments. We also advanced the county strategic plan through several key initiatives and programs. Under equity, the group led countywide efforts to improve the working conditions and economic conditions of our contracted staff by implementing updated contracting standards in countywide janitorial, landscaping, and security contracts. The Office of Economic Development and Governmental Affairs also hosted the inaugural Regional Economic Summit. The summit was an opportunity to discuss the county's economic efforts and priorities and a vision of economic prosperity that increases the resources, opportunities, and standards of living for all residents. Central coordination of the housing blueprint falls within FG3 as well. The housing blueprint reflects the county's leadership role in the region's response to the housing affordability crisis and will ensure that we maximize and direct resources to under-resourced areas. Development is now in phase 2, where the draft goals and objectives will be refined based on feedback from the community. The group is committed to making the county a regional example of a sustainable operations. In addition to launching the design phase of the Zero Carbon Portfolio Plan, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from county facilities by 90% by the year 2030, the Department of General Services also continues to roll out the electric vehicle roadmap to electrify the county's fleet and increase the region's charging capacity. As a result of these efforts, the county now has 310 active charging stations, and another 325 are expected to be operational by this time next year. To promote economic sustainability, the group successfully completed the financing for the Public Health Lab and County Operations Center footprint reduction projects, which resulted in the issuance of the 2023 certificates of participations or bonds. This investment was critical to supporting infrastructure that will serve as a foundation for a stronger and healthier San Diego, and the footprint reduction project allowed the county to avoid $150 million in new cost. Under community, the group is working hard to increase access to the county's operations and finances by bringing the budget to San Diego residents. New this year are pop-up outreach events where staff from the Office of Financial Planning and the County Communications Office set up booths at LiveWell centers and other popular county facilities to engage customers about the county's budget process. The overall response has been positive, and we're excited to reach new community members in this year's budget cycle. Fiscal year 23-24 also featured an elections doubleheader with both a special election and a presidential primary election. More opportunities for civic engagement and change through the vote. The San Diego County Arts and Culture Commission also celebrated its first anniversary following a year of promoting cultural access and inclusion and increasing public awareness of the value and benefits of the arts and cultural diversity in the region. This year was also a year of many firsts. The county's first centralized Public Records Act portal went live in March. members of the public can now go online and submit a request for any department, view previously submitted requests, and find links to county data portals all in one place. The first annual strategic research plan was put into motion, and significant development was made on the county's first enterprise integrated data platform. Together, these tools will ensure the county's research and evaluation work is aligned with our strategic initiatives to provide services to the community that are effective and meaningful. The group continues to lead the implementation of the neurodivergent excellence and inclusion programs across the enterprise. We're inspired by the success stories of Jay's interns that are brought on in conjunction with the community organizations providing employment opportunities for those with disabilities. These interns are a part of departments across the county, providing support to and delivering a full range of community services. Workers' rights and fair labor standards continue to be a priority this year. The Workplace Justice Fund was established through a pilot program to help working families stay afloat while they pursue judgments and unpaid wages. As we look ahead to the coming fiscal year, the group will make targeted investments to continue advancing the county's values. Purchasing and contracting will build on its existing outreach and supplier diversity programs to develop a procurement framework that features a small business liaison. The framework will help local, small, and diverse providers overcome barriers to successfully bidding on government contracts. We will also be making investments to modernize critical information technology infrastructure. We'll begin the final stages of implementation of the integrated property tax system and embark on a new project to migrate major enterprise resource planning systems to cloud-based solutions. The zero carbon portfolio plan I mentioned to you previously will be shifting out of the design phase for electrification and into the first year of construction while planning for future years continues. We will also look to continue to foster economic prosperity and to uplift the binational region through the newly established Chief Binational Officer. And of course, the Registrar of Voters is already gearing up for this November's presidential general election. Finally, we'll begin negotiating agreements with employee organizations for general members in the coming year as well. Now in its third year, the Budget Equity Assessment Tool is fully embedded into our budget process. Based on lessons learned in prior years, the Budget Equity Assessment Tool was shifted earlier to align with the county's 5-year forecast and development of new budget requests. Additionally, language used in the tool was updated to better represent internal support departments by applying the questionnaire to interactions that occur internally within the organization. The Office of Equity and Racial Justice, or OERJ, reviewed and approved 85 budget equity assessments from across the enterprise. Some highlights for our departments included an additional $440,000 for the implementation of the social equity program for commercial cannabis and a $500,000 investment in the Uplifting Boys and Men of Color initiative, which you'll hear more about directly from Andrew later in this presentation. Budget equity discussions were also held over the Digital Services Initiative, a project that will enhance accessibility to virtual tools and resources, including the implementation of a multilingual framework. The group has been expanding and building capacity modestly over the last 5 years with just under a 13% increase in overall staff. While this pace may not have been as high as what we've seen enterprise-wide, we have been efficient in our staffing to increase services benefiting communities while also supporting overall organizational growth. In 21-22, we saw an increase across various departments to support community outreach. New offices were established to address equity and racial justice, labor standards and enforcement, and evaluation and performance analytics, as well as to provide more support for the districts in engaging with the community. Staff additions in 22-23 supported the newly created Office of Economic Development and Governmental Affairs, implementation of the Vote Center model, and enhanced outreach services for residents, including the Public Records Act unit, Digital Services Initiative, and enterprise-wide translation services. We also added capacity that year to meet the needs of county departments and overall growth in programs. The growth continued to support and reflect the growth in county organization by adding staff for legal and administrative services, human resources support, labor investigations workload, as well as support for removing barriers to housing. In the upcoming fiscal year, we're proposing the addition of 6 FTEs or 6 staff in targeted areas, including the newly established Chief Financial Officer, a position to support the board's student intern program, and positions to provide support to the mandated investment pool services and to enhance capacity in enterprise technology support and central payroll. Group-wide, the group is currently at a 6.2% vacancy rate, which is below the enterprise-wide goal that we set for ourselves to reach 7% by the end of this fiscal year. And we'll continue to work to fill the remaining vacancies while maximizing our existing resources. Here we take a look at the 5-year trend for growth in the budget for the group. As a group, we've grown just a little over 19% over the same period. The annual growth is driven largely by internal service funds, or what you'll hear me, the rest of the team refer to as ISFs throughout the day. These funds provide an accounting mechanism to track and manage costs for services provided to other county departments. The internal service funds included within the group budget cover services and costs such as major maintenance projects, facilities maintenance and related operations for facilities, utilities, fuel, fleet management, procurement activities, and information technology needs that are enterprise-wide. For the general fund portion of the group's budget, the increases have been invested in expansion services directly benefiting the community, largely for the new offices and program areas where we also experienced growth in staffing, as I mentioned on the previous slide. The recommended budget for the group includes an increase of $37.6 million for the upcoming fiscal year. And similar to prior years, this growth is being driven almost entirely by the internal service fund departments, which represent $31.7 million of the anticipated growth. General fund departments comprise only $5.9 million of that total growth. This reflects the reality of ongoing external cost pressures in contracted facility services, utilities, fuel, and vehicle replacements while we work to maintain investments in existing services and programs. New growth was limited and largely achieved through operational efficiencies and prioritizing core services within the group. This chart shows the breakdown of the $927 million budget by department, which includes both the internal service funds as well as the general fund departments. The largest 2 areas within the group are the Departments of General Services and the County Technology Office. The County Technology Office budget includes both the $220 million internal service fund as well as the department's operating budget, which is just under $11 million. The next 3 departments within the group are the Assessor, Recorder, County Clerk, County Counsel, and the Auditor and Controller. Looking at the revenue sources for the group's budget, by far the most 2 significant are fees and charges for services and general fund. I'll note fees and charges for services for this group includes billings from internal service funds to other county departments for their requested projects and services. It also includes the overhead costs that are allocated via the cost allocation plan recovery of program administration costs, and fees charged to external entities for services that are provided. The general fund resources include general purpose revenue and general fund balance, and are used for county programs and costs that cannot be allocated or claimed to an external funding source. Of the $927 million recommended budget for the group, approximately 66% is recommended to be funded through charges for current services and 26% by general fund sources. In order to achieve a balanced recommended budget for this group, the group employed a multifaceted approach, as you've heard from other groups today. For fiscal year 24-25, Finance and General Government Group departments submitted new ongoing requests for funding totaling just under $18 million, or 17.8. $2.1 million of new general purpose revenue was invested in the social equity program for commercial cannabis, the chief binational officer, central payroll, and expansion of the Board of Supervisors district office budgets. Internal solutions, including operational efficiencies and realigning department budgets with historical spending, allowed us to absorb $2.8 million in additional information technology licensing, facilities, and certain liability costs. We are also strategically employing the use of $6 million in bridge funding to phase ongoing costs, primarily for the Office of Evaluation and Performance Analytics, operating budget, and other technology costs. While the group was able to use these mitigation strategies to maintain existing programs and infrastructure, there were some tough choices that were made in managing new department resource requests. Of note, there were several staffing requests that were not funded for the upcoming fiscal year, including a parliamentarian for the Human Relations Commission, which was deferred pending the outcome of an assessment as requested by your board. Other new positions that were not funded include dedicated facilities accessibility coordinators, additional capacity within the assessor, recorder, county clerk, and the Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board, and new staff in the registrar of voters to manage the increasing complexity of vote centers and the number of registered voters. This next part of the presentation will highlight significant changes within the group for the upcoming fiscal year for general fund departments. Overall, the group's budget is proposed to increase, the general fund budget rather, by $5.9 million, and this is primarily due to across-the-board increases in negotiated salary and benefit packages, which total $8.4 million, and the new $2.1 million in general purpose revenue investments that I just described previously. The decreases in the budget that are offsetting that are due to the completion of one-time major maintenance projects in the county communications office and recorder trust fund projects in the assessor, recorder, county clerk, which offset our overall general fund increase. Next, we take a look at the internal service funds managed by the group to track and manage costs for services provided to county departments. As mentioned earlier in the presentation, the general services, information technology, and purchasing and contracting ISF budgets are embedded directly within the Finance and General Government Group's budget. However, our group also manages several internal service funds that are appropriated within the finance other category. This includes the employee benefits ISF, our public liability ISF, and newly established insurance ISF that will go live with this coming fiscal year. That new insurance internal service fund will provide a centralized way to fund the county's insurance and will ensure tracking and transparency of insurance costs, especially for county property insurance premiums, which have become more volatile in recent years due to cost pressures in the insurance market. In total, the budget of FG3 managed ISFs is increasing by $41 million to just over $700 million in the upcoming fiscal year. The most significant increases are in general services, which you will hear more about during the department presentation, and for the new insurance ISF. And now I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about countywide expenses. In the operational plan, you'll find these budgeted under Finance Other. Finance Other includes activities that impact the entire county rather than one specific operating department. And the responsibility for managing these funds, again, rests primarily with the Finance and General Government Group. This chart shows all programs and activities in Finance Other, excluding the ISFs that were discussed on the previous slide. It includes centralized activities for the community enhancement and neighborhood reinvestment grant programs, annual payments for the county's outstanding long-term financial obligations, and other centralized general expenses, including the $15 million of appropriation for contingencies that we discussed earlier today, which can be transferred by formal action of the Board of Supervisors by 4/5 vote. The overall proposed decrease of $24 million in Finance Other is primarily due to the removal of one-time shared major maintenance projects to consolidate the office space at the County Operations Center, which was included in the budget for 23-24, but not, of course, for 24-25. So with that as an overview, that concludes the FG3 overview, and we'll start with the selection of our departments. So with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Marco Medved, our Director of General Services, to get us started.
Thank you, Ebony. Good afternoon. The Department of General Services is an internal service department, as Ebony mentioned, which allows us to track and manage costs for services provided to other county departments. We ensure that other county departments have the necessary workspaces, services, and vehicles to accomplish their objectives. These services include facility and energy management and sustainability, real estate actions, and facility and fleet life cycle management. Here are some of our highlights for the year. We work with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting to incorporate contracting standards for janitorial, landscaping, and security services contracts, and we're now implementing these across all contracts. We continue implementing the Zero Carbon Portfolio Plan, which seeks to eliminate 90% of carbon emissions from our county buildings by 2030. To enhance community safety activities, we procured, inspected, and maintained 28 ambulances to assist County Fire and CAL FIRE teams in the transition to the new ground ambulance service area in East County. And we participated in numerous aspects of the 2024 storm response and recovery efforts led by OEC. We provided facility services at 3 sites supporting asylum-seeking migrants, and to further affordable housing and solutions for persons experiencing homelessness. We will hold our first affordable housing ribbon cutting on county-owned property at Lavant Street in Claremont on 30 May. And we'll also open Bancroft's safe parking facility in the Spring Valley community area this July. Our department bolstered behavioral health and public health services by completing construction on the Southeastern Livewell Center in the fall of '23. We are continuing construction on both the Tri-City Medical Center Psychiatric Health Facility and Ramona Family Resource Livewell Center. And we're also beginning construction on the new public health lab going up right now at the COC. We also delivered capital construction to key projects with notable highlights on 2 projects, including the new Otay Mesa Fire Station, which is off the grid, achieved LEED Gold sustainability certification, and reduced embodied carbon by 34%. We also completed the Youth Transition Campus, Phase 2, which includes a 72-bed temporary residential placement facility and a new youth development center. The capital program for fiscal year 24-25 was developed through a collaborative and iterative enterprise process. This year, immediate priorities for funding totaling $133 million were identified for projects managed by both General Services and Park and Recreations departments. The Department of Public Works has a separate comprehensive program for improving infrastructure within the unincorporated area. including improvements to roads and bridges, as well as stormwater. We will invest in improving our infrastructure with projects like the Hall of Justice major systems renovation that empowers our workforce and enhances operations. Sustainability is integrated into the planning and design process for all our new construction projects. The Ramona Sheriff Station will produce its own energy and reduce carbon content of materials in construction and transportation needed for the building, as well as offering electric charging to vehicles. And the electric vehicle or EV roadmap will convert our gasoline-powered vehicles to electric, helping to mitigate climate change. As Ebony mentioned, we currently have over 300 EV ports in our portfolio, and we'll add more than 300 this year. Finally, we'll enhance the public safety. To enhance in public safety, we'll improve the living quarters for the Ramona Fire Station, number 80, and rebuild the Ramona Sheriff Station. With contribution from the community, we will complete design and begin construction for our new Casa de Oro Library. We're also continuing to invest in our neighborhoods that are underserved in terms of park access and amenities. Therefore, we will begin conceptual planning for Butterfield Ranch, which was recently acquired. For Dictionary Hills, we will complete the public access plan. And for the Mira Mesa Epicenter, we will renovate the old youth center to provide new multi-generational programs and services, and this will also become the headquarters for our county teen service program. General Services coordinates with client departments to ensure that potential equity impacts are considered when developing the Capital Improvements Needs Assessment, or CINA. Prior to being added to the CINA, departments identify if the project promotes health equity for residents or employees, benefits an underserved community, or fills a gap in service provision. To increase transparency and informed decision-making, an underserved communities GIS layer was added to the CINA project map and is pictured on this site. Additionally, the projects recommended for funding in FY 24-25 were required to undergo a departmental budget equity assessment. In alignment with the county strategic initiative, General Services will continue construction for the County Operations Center Consolidation Project to improve space utilization in support of government without walls and footprint reduction initiatives. We'll coordinate with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting to issue competitive solicitations for the remaining janitorial service areas to incorporate our new contracting standards. And we'll use natural gas. Natural gas will be reduced via electrification projects in existing buildings as we implement the zero carbon portfolio plan. In equity, the Tri-City Medical Center Psychiatric Health Facility, or PUF, will complete this summer, broadening our behavioral health continuum of care. And we'll also complete construction on the Public Health Lab and the Ramona Family Resource Live Well Center. We'll continue to partner with our departments in planning and programming of the 5-year capital plan and develop opportunities for community engagement in the capital project planning process, or CINA. Our department will establish temporary and permanent housing solutions for low-income populations and persons experiencing homelessness. We will continue to develop on 11 county-owned properties that will result in approximately 2,100 homes for low-income and vulnerable populations. And we'll complete permanent construction on the Magnolia Safe Parking Facility in the Lakeside Community Plan area and continue development on 3 additional emergency shelter sites. Construction will start this summer on the San Diego County Animal Shelter in Santee. And lastly, we'll continue to renovate major systems at justice facilities to include the Hall of Justice and the George Bailey Detention Facility, as the sheriff mentioned earlier. General Services is not adding any new staff for fiscal year 24-25. As an internal service fund, operating costs are passed on to our customer departments, and therefore General Services budget mitigation strategy is centered around reducing costs and maximizing existing resources. From a staffing perspective, this translates into carefully managing attrition and vacancy rates to ensure maximum capacity is made available for department requests and projects. By maintaining a very low vacancy rate, General Services has been able to absorb additional workflow from new facilities and expanded programs. This strategy of maintaining low vacancy rates, combined with increases due to labor negotiations, resulted in a total increase of $4.5 million in salaries and benefits. $26.9 million reflects increases from contracted services and maintenance at county facilities, including full transition of the Health and Human Service Agency's security services to General Services countywide contract. It also includes newly established services for new facilities and programs, for example, the newly opened Southeastern Live Well Center, and increased security needs at the San Diego Psychiatric Hospital and adjoining health service complex. And additionally, board implementation of policy for improving service contract standards. $6.3 million will be aligned with the projected spending for utilities as a result of SDG&E rate increases that were effective in January of '23. $2.9 million will align with the projected spending in fuel, parts, and commercial repairs, and $5.2 million is to align with projected spending for the replacement of vehicles and equipment. From these cost increases, it's clear that we are facing significant external pressures for our facilities and fleet. These costs should continue to be factored in any future decisions for new programs or growth. DGS operations serve our client departments through an internal service fund structure with more than 400 staff. The decrease in fleet management staff reflects a transfer to facilities management supporting internal operations. And overall, the general service budget is increasing by $28.1 million in facilities and fleet management due to increases discussed earlier. These increases are offset by the removal of one-time costs for the County Operations Center space consolidation project. And subject to your questions concludes the general service presentation. I'll now turn it over to Jack Pellegrino from the Department of Purchasing and Contracting.
Thank you, Marco. I am pleased to present the Department of Purchasing and Contracting's operational plan for the upcoming fiscal year. In the following slides, I will highlight our accomplishments and our specific goals for the coming year, which are aligned with the county's values and strategic initiatives. The county operates under a decentralized contracting model aligned with county departments, meaning although DPC solicits and awards all contracts, each county department plans their individual procurements and manages their contracts throughout their life cycles. Our DPC team is assigned to support departmental efforts to procure their needed goods and services and effectively manage performance. DPC also manages several other enterprise programs. Notably, DPC provides procurement and contracting training for the county department staff who manage contracts. All department staff who manage contracts attend a required contracting officer representative training, which provides contract management tools, information, and best practices. Additionally, DPC administers the enterprise surplus and records management programs. We ensure that all surplus property is dispositioned in a proper and sustainable manner. Under the records management program, DPC assists departments in establishing their own record retention schedules in accordance with applicable regulations and policy requirements, and provides for secure off-site storage. Together with our departments, we engage with the community and potential suppliers to promote business opportunities within the county. We host and participate in various community and supplier outreach events throughout the year to provide knowledge on how to contract with the county and to diversify the county's supplier base. In fiscal year 2023, the county spent nearly $2 billion through contracts. We recognize the huge regional economic impact of our contracting and our ability to positively advance the county's vision of a sustainable and resilient future. Now I'd like to highlight some activities and accomplishments in the areas of procurement and contracting. Over the past 3 years, the county's local procurement spend has steadily increased from $1.6 billion, or 81% of our total spend, to just under $1.9 billion, or 90%, in the last fiscal year. These dollars directly benefit the local economy, funding a wide range of businesses and supporting employment within the region. We will continue our collaborative efforts to remain focused on this positive local impact. DPC also implemented several new community supplier engagement activities to boost the small and diverse business participation. In addition to the no-cost virtual trainings offered through the Small Business Development Center and Apex Accelerator located at the Southwestern Community College, we hosted our first ever Connecting with the County, Meeting Our Departments event. This event brought businesses and county departments face to face, allowing for a new level of networking directly with program staff to learn what and how they buy to support their needs. We also collaborated with the Office of Equity and Racial Justice to develop a new equity contracting tool and training. This contracting equity tool is part of the Contracting Officer Representative Training Program and will be used by county department staff when planning their future procurements. In close coordination with the Office of Ethics, Compliance, and Labor Standards, we updated our contracting standards by requiring prospective contractors to disclose current investigations or any unpaid judgments related to wage theft. Also, DPC has included in our standard contract template terms that county contractors must pay any outstanding wage judgments arising under their contracts, or the county may withhold judgment amounts from the payment due to the contractor. DPC streamlined the surplus and reutilization process. Under the surplus property program, the county has the opportunity to reuse property that is no longer needed by departments. As one of DPC's new sustainability initiatives, if excess property is not reutilized by other departments, it is then made available to local nonprofit organizations at no cost before being assigned to public auction, or disposed. In November of 23, DPC implemented a new electronic procurement portal, BINET, which is where interested contractors can register to be notified of new opportunities, view current solicitations, and submit proposals. This new system provides an improved user experience and accessibility, and most importantly, it allows for the collection of supplier business demographics data, which was not available in the past. This supplier demographic information will serve as the basis for future analysis and data-driven insights that will allow us to improve our practices and supplier engagement effectiveness, helping us ensure we have a diverse supplier participation in all of our contracting, especially with small, minority, and community-based nonprofit organizations. DPC has already initiated a supplier matching and identification process to link newly collected demographics data against our existing contract portfolio of some 3,000 contracts. This mapping project will be completed by the end of this fiscal year, and it will provide the county with invaluable insight into the current contract portfolio and guide our efforts to increase supplier diversity and equity in our contracting going forward. Looking ahead, DPC's focus will be on establishing procurement programs that benefit all stakeholders and continue to contribute to the region's local economy. Specific focus will be made to make it easier to work with the county and to participate in future contracting opportunities. One of the ways we will achieve this is through a partnership with the Council for Supplier Diversity. The Council for Supplier Diversity is a local nonprofit organization established in 1999 and assists with outreach to the diverse supplier community. Their purpose and focus is to expand business opportunities for minority, women, and service-disabled veteran businesses. Through this partnership, the Council will assist diverse businesses build capacity and expertise. Our planned efforts with the Council will include training and development opportunities, impact assessments, and provide the county access to a network of pre-screened diverse suppliers in the region. In addition to what DPC already has in place to assist small businesses, collaborating with the Council will take us to a higher level of creating a more diverse and inclusive business environment. DPC will also identify and re-examine barriers to contracting for all small providers through an equity lens by focusing on the challenges unique to small, minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. Specifically, we will look to address overly complex RF request for proposal templates and selection criteria, and insurance and bonding requirements. We will also focus on expanding opportunities for small businesses to gain valuable government experience as subcontractors of prime contractors, with one method being the creation of a proactive registry of businesses who are interested in being subcontractors on larger contracts. This registry will then be included in future solicitations to proactively provide the business's information to the larger contractors who will be preparing proposals to our procurement opportunities. Finally, we will continue to look for innovative ways to incorporate new technology into procurement and contracting practices to streamline the process for everyone involved. We are excited by the potential and the promise of AI and will look for meaningful ways this new field will help us streamline and simplify some of the more technical and complex aspects of public procurement. As we highlighted earlier, the new procurement portal and its ability to track supplier demographics data promises a new era of data-driven policy making in county procurement. This investment was a key driver in our decision to fund the new system. Benchmarking against other similar organizations on supplier equity and diversity will not only allow us to gauge our performance, but could also provide useful information to all county departments to consider in the future budget equity assessments as they review their contracting services. DPC also reviewed existing investments like the Procurement Technical Assistance Program in this year's budget cycle. The program critically serves under-resourced small, minority, and women-owned businesses and has demonstrated tangible outcomes. Based on both budget equity and outcome-based factors, DPC will continue to fund this program in fiscal year 24-25 and to continue to improve our offerings. Next year, we will continue our partnership with the Office of Equity and Racial Justice, which you will hear more about in their presentation. Considering equity and contracting impact, when departments develop their statement of work, is how the county will ultimately change how its procurement dollars are awarded to uplift and benefit our communities. A key element in supporting the county's strategic plan for sustainability, DPC will incorporate the 6 values of sustainable, equitable, and local food system policy into the submittal requirements for the upcoming county food contract procurement. These values will be part of the evaluation and selection criteria for the awarded contractor, and the resulting contract will require acknowledgement of the county goals in these areas and require periodic performance and achievement reporting. Supporting equity, DPC will improve outreach to small, diverse, and community organizations by establishing a procurement framework and community engagement model and a county supplier diversity program. The supplier diversity program will be developed in partnership with the Council for Supplier Diversity. To empower the county's workforce, DPC will continue to offer the contracting officer representative training curriculum that provides essential information and skills to effectively monitor and administer county contracts with our focus on equity and sustainability. Under the strategic initiative of community, DPC will collaborate with internal departments to host connecting with the county events that increase accessibility and provide opportunities for local small businesses and providers to network with county departments and learn more about the county's purchasing needs, upcoming opportunities, and how to do business with the county. In collaboration with the Office of Equity and Racial Justice, Sustainability and Environmental Justice, and Economic Development and Governmental Affairs, DPC will conduct an assessment of county procurement-related policies, processes, and procedures to identify how to expand opportunities for local businesses to participate in county contracts, as well as identify and support ways we can lead just and sustainable contracting practices. And finally, DPC will coordinate efforts to update the environmental preferable procurement policy and assist county departments better align their procurement spending while supporting the county's environmental justice goals. The most significant budget adjustment for fiscal 24-25 is the one-time investment of $1.5 million to implement a new records management system that was discussed on a prior slide. DPC will be using fund balance in the internal service fund that was built up during the pandemic due to unanticipated emergency procurement spending to offset the cost of the records management system and to reduce procurement rates for all departments. Other increases to the DPC budget were primarily due to negotiated salaries and benefit increases and allocated overhead costs. We are proposing a $3.2 million budget increase. There is no increase in staffing proposed for the upcoming year. With our current team, we will continue to invest in our community and uplift businesses through our department efforts and partnerships, especially focused on local, minority, and small businesses. Overall, this is a year of change on how we do business at the county. We will be advancing the vision of the county, influencing how we do business here for generations to come, and leading jurisdictions locally and nationally on how governments can influence the local economy, uplift small businesses, and encourage innovation in the public sector. This concludes DPC's presentation, and I will turn it over to Andrew Strong from the Office of Equity and Racial Justice. Andrew?
Thank you, Jack. Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to present on the Office of Equity and Racial Justice 24-25 operational plan. Our mission is to partner with the community to co-create transformative, enduring structural and systemic change in San Diego County government. We bridge San Diego County departments and community voices to design bold policies and practices to advance equity, and we champion for belonging for all and advocate for people suffering from structural and systemic racism and exclusion. We use the Government Alliance on Race and Equity's elements of change to focus and drive our work in 4 areas: visualizing our work through shared values, normalizing the work through developing a shared understanding, organizing our work through relationships and training, and operationalizing the work by developing tools and resources for our county team. Here are a few of our accomplishments for the fiscal year 23-24. In January, we completed and released the county's Equity Indicators Report, which provides a baseline understanding of where inequitable outcomes exist in San Diego County across 10 themes and 34 indicators. This report will help drive the strategies and interventions to address these disparities in quality of life and improve outcomes for all. We were excited to start the first cycle of the Equity Impact Grant Program by completing 8 community outreach sessions across San Diego County, receiving and reviewing 325 applications and awarding 10 small, diverse, community-based organizations $1 million in grants. Award organizations then began tailored coaching and workshops on leadership and nonprofit governance and organizational resiliency. We restarted the Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging teams with an enterprise-wide kickoff meeting in August 2023. These teams are engaged in continuous learning opportunities through monthly office hour sessions hosted by our office, and a total of 9 office hour sessions were hosted in this fiscal year. We began the intersectional baseline gender equity analysis to assess gender inequities in policies and procedures on a countywide level. The analysis will be used to inform department gender equity action plans and the development of a countywide 5-year gender equity action plan. As Jack mentioned earlier, an equity contracting checklist tool was adopted in August 2023, used by our contracting officer representatives. Our office partnered with the Office of the Public Defender to implement a client advocate program to support youth in exiting the criminal legal system. The program is inclusive of capacity building for public defenders and provides holistic services to youth receiving public defense. The program began operating in July of 2023 and will have served over 100 youth by the end of fiscal year 23-24. And here are some of our initiatives that we continue to move forward. We are preparing to solicit a consultant to conduct an assessment of the Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission in an effort to optimize the Commission's long-term health and effectiveness. We're partnering with the statewide Alliance for Boys and Men of Color to bring more resources and funding to the region for our Boys and Men of Color initiative. We're working closely with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting and the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs to develop an assessment on barriers to supply diversity that Jack spoke to earlier. And this will lead to program development for our local small businesses. We're also excited to move forward with the implementation of the Social Equity Program for commercial cannabis. This program will work to address the harms that were done by the war on drugs and the criminalization of marijuana and provide access and benefits to our impacted communities. We're leading a countywide gender identity and expression team to address the workplace needs of transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse employees. And we are developing a countywide equity assessment that will provide an opportunity for our employees to have a voice by providing us with their experience of the equity actions in their departments to help us create concrete actions that will lead to employees having a true sense of belonging in the county. In an effort to build stronger and healthier communities in this coming fiscal year, as we've launched the Equity Indicator Report this year, the next step is to have engagement and goal-setting sessions with community around the data and indicators within the report, in alignment with the Data Access Initiative that ties directly to our sustainability initiative. As all of our work directly ties to equity, I'd like to highlight the fact that we will be developing a countywide anti-racism strategy, strategic plan, and goals that actively fight against racism in our region. To empower our employees, we are leading the development of an annual equity action plan process and the co-creation of the Equity Action Plan template in partnership with all designated countywide justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging teams. This will include a robust training curriculum on understanding our role in government in this work and additional equity-related tools for our teams. For community, we'll continue to partner with the City of San Diego to host a partner strategy circle of community partners and nonprofit organizations involved in equity and racial justice work, and co-create a regional equity summit in early 2025. For justice, we are in the RFP process to hire a consultant to assess region-wide programs focusing on eliminating the school-to-prison pipeline for boys and men of color to help us determine specific programming that may be needed to enhance opportunities for the success of this community. This is the third year for us in our budget equity journey, as Ebony mentioned earlier. Our board adopted the budget equity tool and process in 2022, and it's evolved a lot since then. The tool, process, and training is about getting decision makers, program, and budget staff to understand what an equity lens means for their work and programs to help them do resource allocation. Our tool has 5 questions that focus on identifying how budget requests advance equity for the most impacted communities that historically and are currently suffering from inequalities and inequities, understanding and mitigating negative unintended consequences, internal and external community engagement, and measurement, data, and accountability. The first year was about training and understanding how to use the tool and process. The second year was about tracking, reviewing, and approving budget requests using the tool. And this year, as Ebony mentioned, we backed up the process to start in a 5-year forecasting process. We conducted a second round of review during the actual operational plan process. This year, 100% were reviewed and approved by our office after an iterative review process with our departments. More specifically, our office budget equity assessment questionnaires were completed for the Cannabis Social Equity Program and Uplifting Boys and Men of Color Initiative. Community engagement as part of the social equity assessment has been critical to the development of the Cannabis Social Equity Program. This included 6 multilingual community listening sessions, 28 interviews with community members, activists, and cannabis business owners, 5 focus groups with a diverse set of stakeholders, and survey responses from community members. All this input was aggregated to create recommendations for the social equity program. For Uplifting Boys and Men of Color, lived experience will be an important part of the development of this initiative. Persons with lived experience who have had contact with the criminal justice system are critical participants in our program development. Our upcoming life course map analysis will require a consultant to work with community members and community-based organizations to uplift the voices of persons with lived experience. The main significant budget changes for our office is the additional funding of $440,000 for the implementation of the Cannabis Social Equity Program that will include numerous elements to prioritize equity, access, and business opportunities to help rectify the injustices caused by the war on drugs. While the $440,000 for the Cannabis Social Equity Program was not the full amount originally requested, a large part of our budget mitigation strategy is to seek funding opportunities while phasing in implementation and focusing existing resources in areas where they will make the most significant impact. Additionally, one-time funding of $500,000 will be used to develop the initiative for the Uplifting Boys and Men of Color. This slide shows this change from last year's fiscal year, showing an increase in $500,000 and no additional changes to our department staffing. Subject to your questions, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Andrew. Chairwoman Vargas, members of the board, we appreciate the opportunity to share several highlights of the Finance and General Government Group's recommended operational plan. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the FG3 team for your continued hard work. The work that we do within our group is often behind the scenes and in support of other county departments and the community. But the dedication to service and the preservation to ensure the county creates space for healthy, strong communities is so apparent every day. And while the county moves forward in a time of slowing revenue growth and uncertainty, FG3 departments will continue to work to align resources with enterprise priorities, invest in the underinvested, and promote economic prosperity for all residents. Subject to your questions, that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, do any of my colleagues have any questions? I see Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, please.
Yes, thank you so much. The presentations were really thorough, and I appreciate it. I just want to ask a question, and HR is in this group, although I think, Ebony, you presented for them, and this ties into the Office of Equity and Racial Justice and just across the board with county staff. I have been, from my office, receiving stories and also complaints about some of the things that are going on in the organization. They are isolated incidents, but things that consist of offensive language, if not racist, depending on, your, what you believe and feel. Disparaging comments about Martin Luther King Jr. at a training, flyers that are being circulated that are offensive to African American community, just a lot of things going on. And my question is, what is the reporting mechanism for our staff? Like, there's just amazing things being done across the county. But internally, I just want to make sure that when we receive those as an office, that we have a safe place for people to go and express those complaints.
And Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, thank you for the question. And our office often gets brought into these types of situations and gets phone calls from staff about and where do you go to report these things. And one of the good things we've done recently is in the Office of Ethics, Compliance, and Labor Standards, in the Office of Ethics Compliance under Brandon Butler, they recently beefed up their investigators. I think they had 5 investigators, and OEC will now be taking all of those complaints. And I know they're doing a robust kind of building up of the staff and resources to do that level of investigations and reporting. And there's also a hotline that employees can call as well. But of course, we also want folks to work within their department when they feel comfortable enough to work within the HR structure. But and myself have been brought in on some of those same situations that you referred to in your comments. And what we do is we work with the departments to try to help them resolve, and also work with bringing OEC to help have a conversation and make sure we can resolve these situations and provide training and support where those departments may need it.
Okay, thank you for that. I just think a clear process is good, so that we can keep up. Even these are personnel matters which are not to be discussed in detail in public, but they are important for us to understand as county, the county culture kind of shifts, that we are keeping up with all of the things that are going on internally. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate all the good work that is being done. I do not want to brush over that at all. And that does conclude my questions and comments. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much to our county team for your presentations today, and we will be adjourning till Thursday, the 16th at 10 a.m. Thanks.